Good morning. Hope you're doing really well. I am in the beautiful, and I mean beautiful, Kent countryside. We're at Beaksbourne today, and we're at Beaksbourne because we really I want to show you something that has been recently a lot of people seem to have sort of been taking interest into it. And I thought, do you know what? It'd be quite nice to show you it. I'm looking at it right now, but I won't spoil the secret too much, although you'll probably guess in the clip art. But stay with me. I think this is going to be quite a nice one for the channel. I think you're going to like it. Let's go. Welcome back to the channel. So, I don't know if you can see these, but I will show you them. It is, it's been labelled as an anti-tank graveyard, but basically it is just a huge section of anti-tank defences. But look at them. Dragon's teeth, as we would commonly refer to them as most of the time. I mean, wow. I've never been here before, because really, if I'm obviously being honest, that stuff like this you see quite a lot of, but what you don't see a lot of is the amount, and that really is saying something. So when I was reading a lot of reports on this place, it mentions Beaksbourne Aerodrome or airfield, which is really important in Kent's historical history, really. But we'll come back to that at some other point, because really, as you probably have guessed, it's all been demolished, pretty much, the hangars, etc, etc. So now you've just got the sort of I really hate it. It sort of always comes across as sort of semi-patronising when they name the roads like Aerodrome Way or whatever it is, just to remind you of what it was. But the point is, apart from a couple of memorials that you see, there's, excuse my language, bugger all there. What I want to try and do is I'm going to walk away a little bit, just so you get the full scope of this. So let me turn around. Excuse the wind. Oh, hope that's not coming out. So the anti-tank defences are literally from the top of the bridge coming all the way down. And in fact, what I want to make really clear to begin with, before we start properly, is that there are a few of these in situ, but this is quite a substantial grouping of them, and like I said, which has been affectionately known as the anti-tank graveyard. And it's amazing. So some of these are numbered as well. It's got some loopholes there as well, which obviously you can imagine them being placed there. That says M2 on that one, if you can see that just about. There you go. And there's a loophole there for obviously attaching and detaching these huge concrete slabs. I mean, they're just massive concrete. Not unusual, like we said in World War II history, or World War history, should we just sort of say in general. Another little loop there. Another one here that's numbered, sorry, M5. Lovely. Yeah, amazing. Look at the landscape as well. I mean, you know, what a beautiful, just beautiful part of Kent landscape, really. Amazing. So let's start with the proper history, because I was thinking, well, we could do a history lesson on this, but actually I'd rather talk you through it, really. So this was labelled as roadblock number 80, I think it was, and that was in 1940 when that was listed, and it was part of the concrete defences that they'd collated in 1940, and it formed part of the Dover to Whitstable stop line, which is really a defensive, would have been a defensive line going in sections. If the Germans were to advance from Kent up to London, really was obviously the primary goal. Now I'm saying this in layman's terms, so just in case people want to sort of pick me apart on it, I'm trying to give you a basic sort of formula on this as to sort of describing it. Now, what makes this so significant and so substantial is that really its purpose on this was to stop from flanking the roadblock, and then also the descent into the gully. Now, it's really hard to sort of get into context of this, although if we look up there, obviously the hill sort of descends down into a gully, which, if I'm going to walk around here, I've got to be really careful here. So the railway is literally there, as you saw already, so it's right there. And obviously this is part of the stop line here, and look, wow. There was also would have been noticed as gun emplacements on the opposite side, and obviously literally across this main line, train line here, there would have been lots of similar stuff here. But I just wanted to take you to this because it is, like I said, now affectionately known as the anti-tank graveyard, which is nice. I like that. Tetrahedra shapes as well. I'm just trying to figure out what I was going to say. This is quite nice. It sort of shows you, obviously, as we've seen before, you've got the framework there. Think of it as like paper mache in a basic terminology. Then you layer the concrete onto this sort of network of framing there. See actually the top of that as well. And then it forms these tetrahedra shapes. Beautiful in their own right. Like I said, most of the time we would affectionately know these similar things as dragon's teeth, because obviously, you know, they just look like dragon's teeth, don't they? Obviously, if dragons existed, which, you know, I'm sure they do. I'm sure dragons exist. Maybe. I think dragons exist along with the Loch Ness Monster. Just saying. Anyway, this is nice. So I wanted to come right down to the bottom here and then work my way up. So we're now at the edge. This one's got N3 on it. It's actually, an N2 is that one. There you go. You can just sort of see that. That one's got N2 on it. Then there's, oh God, I don't know what that one's translated into. A9, that one. There you go. Yeah, there you go. 3 rows. I mean, that's really significant, isn't it? I'm just going to show you. So this, obviously, we're now going into the gully, really. That's where obviously the main line is. Like we just said before, it's there. It's rising up. This is the ditch and it goes down. Look at that. Wow. Oh. Amazing. Yeah, so there was noted as having like some machine gun emplacements here as well on the opposite side, I think, but obviously most of that's obviously just gone now, really. I mean, but it's so overwhelming to see so much here that's still left, and I mean it is significant. I mean, you know, I don't recall seeing as many of these in a significant space. So it is a special and unique thing, and like I always try to do on Phoenix History is that I want to try and bring you some unusual and different stuff most of the time. Really, I mean, the only problem that I wanted to sort of bring about with this was that if you look at people when they've done similar stuff to this, they've always really referred to it as part of Beaksbourne Airfield and tried to sort of collate it with the airfield itself, but really what you got to understand is that this is a separate entity. This is literally a defensive line. You know, these dragon's teeth were really designed to just slow down and advance, or if anything, lure the tanks away into a different direction. Obviously you can imagine any tank would struggle getting through this. I mean, they're just not going to, full stop. So what you have to try and do is see where this follows, and then obviously it comes into this defensive stop line. It's meant to stop the advance. It's not meant to, well, it's meant to slow it down, actually, I should politely say, not necessarily stop it. I think the thing as well, like, you know, I've mentioned this in probably other videos, but I suppose in this instance, because it's so prominent, if you're a local and you see these being put up, I mean, really, that's quite a scary prospect, because you know that the only reason why these are being put up is for land invasion from Germany, knowing that if you see these, they've only got one specific, they've got a couple of purposes, but the main reason behind it is because if there was an advance. So you're literally watching these things being placed here, knowing that if you're local in the village, you're thinking, oh my God, like, this is where they're assuming the advance is going to happen. And really, all around this area in Beaksbourne and pretty much similar, sort of just Canterbury, like we said, the stop line really, which goes from, it's sort of Dover, Whitstable, Canterbury, sort of like way. And what I'm trying to say is, there was only pillboxes of different types. So you've got anti-tank pillboxes, light gun emplacements. I mean, really, all of this stuff was just to preempt the advance that pretty much Germany, we would assume, would have headed into London. And it's just, you know, if you put it into that context and understand really why they were put here, it does sort of put everything in just a slightly different perspective. You know, can you imagine, you know, like literally you're living in the village and all of a sudden you see these things being placed down and you think, well, they look really unusual and different, and then when you find out they're to stop, you know, tank movement or to divert it predominantly, it's a scary prospect, knowing that you're literally looking down a hillside where, you know, the invasion probably would have been heading towards. Probably, we never know. I mean, obviously, thankfully that never happened. But this is still an interesting reminder. And graveyard being the optimum word. The anti-tank graveyard. It's haunting, really. And something I don't think I ever was going to record on my channel. But yet here I am. Amazing, isn't it? The insignificance of things like this that we take for granted, even as people who love World War II history. You probably see them loads and loads of times on different explores. Yet to see so many in such significant space, quite scary. Quite scary indeed. Look at that. Formidable. Formidable and scary. And then it stops just at the point of the bridge. There you go. Really does make you think, doesn't it? Anyway, let's move out. Well, as I make my way out back to the car, one interesting piece of history really that most people would sort of take for granted. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you really enjoyed that brief bit of history. Not much else to say really. I mean, I could have probably done a really elaborate video for you, but I suppose the purpose was just to sort of give you a flavour of it. Now, what's really good or reassuring is that they are actually now labelled officially on Google as a historical landmark on maps. So you have to type in his Beaksbourne anti-tank graveyard, something like that, I think it is. And if you do that, it will take you here. And it's a nice little walk and you can carry on. There's a few other things that I'm probably going to explore in some other videos around here, so stay tuned for that. But for now, I'm going to enjoy my nice little walk back to the car, chill out, take my time, and thank you so much for coming along with me. Hopefully you had a really nice time and you learnt a few things. Stay safe no matter what you're doing. In more words of Phoenix history, because history matters. I'll see y'all very soon. Ready? Go, pal.